Welcome to the new TMZ Live, where we bring you inside our newsroom as our staff chases down today's stories in real time.
Welcome to TMZ Live. So Hulk Hogan's funeral was yesterday, and everybody from the wrestling world showed up. Too many names to mention. The one person who was not there that drew a lot of attention by her absence was Hulk Hogan's daughter, Brooke. And there has been a lot of back and forth about what happened between Hulk and Brooke and what was underlying this estrangement. We have been speaking to Brooke, and she wanted to come on TMZ Live today to talk about that and to talk about what people don't understand. So she is joining us right now. Brooke, welcome to TMZ Live, and I'm so sorry.
Hey, Harvey, thank you for having me on.
First of all, I know this is a really difficult time for you for many reasons, and I'm really sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. My heart is racing out of my chest right now, and I'm feeling a plethora of emotions. So I'm going to try to get through this as professionally as I can.
Well, let's start with the funeral. So you chose not to go, and I know you really haven't had contact with your dad in the last 2 years of his life. So let's start off with why you chose not to go.
I think to get to the funeral, you have to start at the beginning. You know, I'm embarrassed that it's even come to this. You know, I have a life. I have 2 kids. I have a job. I have a business. I have been trying to live quietly and peacefully. And the only reason my face is on TV right now is because I have had to constantly battle false claims. The first one being Brooke didn't come to her dad's wedding. Why? Oh, well, Brooke is estranged from her dad. Why? And it's like, I always say 2 things can be true, right? I can love my dad, which is the absolute God's honest truth. I love my father. I love that picture of us. I love my dad. But my dad and I have been through a lot of stuff over the years. If you want to give it a quick Google, anybody can find out the hurt that has happened to me throughout the years. And I've forgiven, and I've always put my dad first. That's my daddy. People know, as a woman, a father-daughter bond is so strong, even more so than a mother-daughter bond, you know, and I love my mom, but my dad and I were very close, very, very close. And I've been through a lot of things with him. Surgeries, lots and lots of surgeries, a lot more surgeries than what's happened in the last 2 years. We've been through a lot. I've forgiven a lot. I've been by his side through everything. Even if I haven't gotten the whole truth, even if I have been a little bit misled, I have still had his back.
So I know this happened a while ago, but when the sex tape came out and when you initially had supported him and apparently didn't necessarily know everything that was in it, particularly the references to boyfriends of yours using racial epithets. How big a role did that play in this estrangement?
Well, I still get nasty comments that I have to hide, you know, regarding I'm sure Hulk's glad she's not dating a black guy now, you know. I mean, I'm still getting it, you know, and through that whole sex tape drama, everybody focused on Hulk said the N-word and you know, this whole thing, and we're fighting for this amendment and, you know, privacy and, you know, big hero movement. But I never got a direct apology for that. That was extremely embarrassing for me. You know, the money that he was pumping into my career, there's a lot more behind that, that a lot of people don't know. You know, and what is really confusing me right now, and I think the core of what we're here to talk about, is whoever is spinning this negative narrative about me, trying to get ahead or discredit me, or whatever they're trying to do. What I've been hearing it's so false, it's laughable. And it's making me mad. And it only tells me that their golden goose is gone. I relied on my father for nothing financially. I have my own job. My husband has a job. We do not have any money coming in from my father since I was 18 years old. And everybody else relied on him for a paycheck. And now that golden goose is gone. So I don't know if I'm their emotional, guilty punching bag, or if they are afraid of what I know, because I know a lot that I don't talk about. I know a lot. And, it's pathetic. And it's disgusting, to be honest. And I don't really know who's spinning these things, but, one of the things was Hulk sent gifts that Brooke returned. Let me tell you something, brother. No pun intended. My dad was not one to put things in a box and tape it up and take it to UPS. My dad sent flowers. That was his thing. Nick and Tana sent us beautiful little baby gifts when our kids were born. They had our address. No gifts came here. No flowers came here, and you can't return flowers, okay? So that's number one. Number two, this begging for forgiveness. Me and my dad have had multiple conversations where he said sorry, and he never specifically said for what. I really actually had hoped that we could have actually delved a little deeper on that, like, sorry for what, Dad? Like because a lot of these things really hurt me, and I do want to talk about them. But in my heart, I didn't want to embarrass him further. I didn't want to make him suffer more. So I kind of just swallowed it and was like, you know what, that's my dad, whatever, just keep it moving. And I looked back through my dad's text messages today before this interview. I looked back through our text messages, all kind. Always I love yous, always here's some funny pictures from the past, Dad, I love you. Me and my dad were always respectful to each other, always kind and loving to each other. Where the real cincher came in were phone calls that we had. And me not attending the wedding with Sky had nothing to do with Sky, and had nothing to do with me being worried about her being affiliated with Scientology. That is a fear. I don't know where she stands in that. That's a fear of mine, obviously, if she is involved. But that's not, she said she left. So I'm like, hey, Dad, if you believe her, like, that's cool. Like, she's super nice. Her kids are darling and sweet. I got along with her little girl, Layton. Like, she's just the sweetest little doll baby you can't even imagine. Really good children, which I think is a reflection on her as a mother. But the Scientology thing was a little bit like, okay, that's scary, My dad said he was never going to get married. When Steve asked for my hand in marriage, my dad's words were, just as long as you guys are good together or good to each other, but I'll never do it again. So his whole thing was, I'm not going to get married. And we had conversations, private conversations, that I put on speakerphone for my husband to hear, because I said, I need you to hear this, because I have a feeling one day I'm going to be painted as crazy, and this is going to come up out of the woodwork. And so I just had a women's intuition. And we had talked multiple times. One time Steve was in the car, me and Steve and my dad were in the car, and he was saying a few unsavory things about Sky. And me and Steve were kind of like, Dad, that's kind of, not nice. Like, you can't.
When he was married to her?
No, when they were dating. And he called me and he would talk about arguments they had and had talked. And I'm sorry, Sky, if you're watching this, my dad confided in some issues that you guys were having. And he asked me, I think they had broken up once before and then they got back together. And he was kind of telling me, there was a worry in his voice. And he was like, I just don't know. Like, I'm not sure about this. And I said, well, why don't you just end it? I said, and this is me just being candid. I said, Dad, you got more money than God. You can date whoever you want. Why don't you just spend your money while you're alive? He was like, oh, I got your kids set up. I'm like, spend your money while you're alive. I got a job. I'm good. We all know money does not buy happiness. We had a ton of it and our family was a disaster. I said, spend your money while you're alive. No big deal. But I said, just, don't get married. You can date whoever you want. You can do whatever you want. Just enjoy your life. Me and Steve are moving back. This is the time in life. I have a text message where I said, Dad, you've made certain choices, right? Our family has imploded. however many times. I said, now is the chance to start anew. You're getting older. You don't have nothing to prove to anybody. Let's just ride off into the sunset. Let's go on the boat. Let's whatever. Like me and Jennifer, his second wife, had gotten him through a ton of surgeries and really truly had him in a good spot. And, you know, he was one to kind of push the limits a little bit. One of the last surgeries resulted in him pushing too hard in the gym. And he tore his shoulder muscle, and then that turned into MRSA, and then it turned into something else, and we got him through that. And I was like, Dad, we're finally like, everything's fine, you know? And if you're having issues with this particular lady, I said, you know, keep it light, end it, whatever. I said, blame it on me. You know, when my dad was going to marry Jennifer, he told her, if my kids don't like you, I can't marry you. I said, use the same excuse. Say I don't like her. That's not the truth. I mean, she was sweet to me, but, you know, I was like, Dad, I have your back. You know, just say, my kids don't want me to get married, or, you know, whatever. I got, you know, it's, you know, it seemed like a very probable, you know, reason to not get married. And he said she was kind of like pushing the marriage thing hard, which any woman would. I pushed the marriage thing hard when I dated Steve for a year and a half. I don't blame her, you know, but he was just feeling uneasy. And he said something to me that really took me aback. And he said, if I broke up with her, it'd be bad. And I said, what do you mean by that? It would be bad. And he goes, I don't want to get into it, you know? So then we exchanged a couple text messages. Hey, Daddy, good morning, Daddy. How are you? I love you. You know, here's some funny pictures from the past. Oh, you're really taking me down memory lane, whatever. I've got it all on my phone. And then I got another call from him, and I was starting to, and we had gone back and forth a little bit on text that was kind of, like I said, respectful disagreements, where I was like, you know, Dad, this is a chance to make a new, and he kind of shot back at me like, well, I haven't approved of who you've dated. And it was like tit for tat. And I was like, okay, like, this is childish. Like, and it was making me cry. It was like, there were hurtful things that he kind of said. And there were a couple things that, you know, I was working on a house for him, and one of the contractors witnessed, an interaction between me and my dad, and he texted me. The contractor texted me and said, are you okay, kid? That hurt me watching what I saw. So my dad had become a little bit calloused in his old age, and that's okay.
Be right back.
We've been talking with Hulk Hogan's daughter, Brooke, about why there was an estrangement between the two of them in the last few years of his life. And it sounds very complicated. And I'm glad you were able to talk about all of this. Does it bother you that you're never going to get closure with him by not seeing him or interacting with him, or him interacting with you? That it sounds like, you know, he would apologize but not give reasons for what he was apologizing for, or things were unresolved with various things that happened, including his last marriage. But now he's gone. And does this haunt you, or do you say, you know, it's just the way it was, and kind of put it to rest? Is this going to bother you for the rest of your life?
No, actually, because my dad, I know for a fact, my dad knows how much I love him. My dad knows I would run through a burning building for him. I would call him every day, every other day. We'd talk, we'd leave voicemails. I was my dad's running mate. When, you know, he'd pick me up from school, we'd go to sushi alone together. You know, I mean, my dad was confiding in me before he married Sky. Like, he wasn't confiding in anybody else. He was confiding in me. Me and him were like best friends. And my dad knew, even with, you know, and this is the thing, is the estrangement is a boundary, right? So I didn't like certain people that he was around. It wasn't Sky. It was a number of people that I did not trust, that I had seen behavior in. And I said, Dad, flashing yellow signs like, hey, this is messed up. Like, are you going to do anything about it? And my dad was never alone. He was always with someone. And most of those people I did not like, and I did not get good energy from, and I didn't want to be around. And he kind of gave me the sentiment of like, well, I guess you have to live your life and I have to live mine. And that was kind of how it was left. And it was almost like, you know, I love you, you love me. we have different beliefs and different, opinions on things, but like, we're good. Me and my dad are good. Like, we're good. I love my
Okay.
dad. He loves me.
If you're good and you love each other, which I believe, you made a decision that you want no part of his will. You do not want to be a beneficiary. You had mentioned a few minutes ago that he has more money than God. Given the fact that he did love you, and I don't know what his will says, but if he decided he wanted you to share in what he had, why reject that?
For a number of reasons. I think it wasn't obviously not a test. But my dad should have known that when the truth is, my dad might not even know that I asked to be off the will, because I texted his money manager, and his money manager and his people may have taken me off the will without him even knowing. Who even knows? This is the issue, that I had, was never knowing the truth because of the people that were around him. So who knows? Maybe he did know. Let's just say he knew and he took me off the will, whatever. My reasons, number one, that goes to show you I'm not in it for the money. I don't care. Like, I'm more concerned about you. The biggest reason, though, why I asked to be off of the will was because I know my family, and I know if Sky, who, from what I know, allegedly is still in good standings with Scientology after my dad passes, and she still has her Scientologist family and Scientology backing. I don't want to fight that. And not that I would have to fight that. I don't even think Sky would be a problem with me. But
if it's not a problem, why not roll with it? If he leaves you in the will, if he did leave you in the will, and they end up calling you and saying, Brooke, you just inherited X, whatever that money is, would you accept it?
Right now, if somebody said that?
Yeah.
I would be shocked. I would be grateful. I'd say, oh my gosh, I can't believe my dad would do that, but he didn't. So, these are hypothetical things.
Do you know what the will, because I don't know what the will says, do you?
No, I don't, but I know.
So what if he did leave you something, because there clearly was love between the two of you. So what if he did?
I'll tell you this, I wouldn't know, because the only word that I have to go on is his people. So I hired a power of attorney to call and find out what was going on, because there was a small trust I was on that we're going to put towards our kids' college funds. And I had my power of attorney look into that. And then he had to talk to Terry McCoy, my dad's money manager, and then the estate planner or whatever it is. And they said, no, Brooke is 100% completely off the will. So that's all I know. That's the words I have to go off of. I don't know I have no plans of digging deeper, because I didn't care about the money. That's the truth. If there is something there, maybe my brother would have the heart to tell me, or I don't really know. But the point of taking myself off the will, getting back to that, was, if Scientology were a thing, which I don't think Sky would present a problem if she were like a full-blown Scientologist, but I just know how my family is. And I've seen how certain members of my family go after money. And I see how they fight over money and how they turn on each other over money. And I said, if and when my dad dies, this is going to be, pardon my French, a show. And I want no part of it, because I have already had to witness my dad go through 15 years of legal battles, depositions. Our whole life has been lawsuits. All I want to do is be at the beach with my babies and my husband and do my own thing. Leave me alone. Like, that's all I want.
Are you at peace?
I'm at peace. The only thing that makes me sad is, now I'm getting crapped on for not going to funerals and services and stuff like that, when my dad told me specifically multiple times, just burn me up and put me in the back of the ocean behind my house. That's where my dad is. I want to be in the Gulf. I want to be with my dad. I don't want he didn't like the morbidity of funerals. He hated it. And quite honestly, if he knew he were being carted around for 2 weeks for show, with people that didn't really know him, celebrities and stuff that I'm like, how well did you really know them? Is this for my dad or is this for everybody else? So, hate to be a biatch about it, but, my dad wanted to be cremated and put in the ocean. And the closest way I could get to him was to put my feet in the ocean with my children. And I'm standing by that. And that is my God's honest truth.
Brooke, at peace or not, it's got to be hard. And I'm sorry again. And I really, really appreciate you giving me the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I just want to say that whatever representative from that camp continues to spew these lies, if they want to keep going, grab your best hold, grab your best lawyers, because I'm ready to go. Because I'm done with it. I'm done. This is ridiculous. I know too much. I've been through too much. I'm not to be played with. I'm done. So it better stop. I want to get back to my life. I want to get back to my children who, for this last 2 weeks, has not been able to have the full attention of their mom and dad. We don't have babysitters and nannies and people parading around here. I need to spend time with my kids. I am a nervous wreck. I haven't eaten. I haven't slept. This is ridiculous that this has gone to this point of this war of words. And that's why I'm here with you, Harvey, to put it to rest. My dad has finally been put to rest. Leave him alone. Leave me alone. And let the poor man go to heaven and just end it. Stop coming after me. I'm not the one you want to come after.
Brooke, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Harvey. Thank you.
Coming up.
There is a twist in the Denise Richards saga, her divorce saga. This is a current picture of Denise Richards when she was out. And when you look, it seems that she has a black eye.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
BB Rexa was looking hot on vacation.
Look at the water, too. Did you just say, look at the water?
I mean, I'll be honest, that is what I was looking at.
TMZ.
So there is a twist in the Denise Richards saga, her divorce saga. You know that a few weeks ago, she got a restraining order against her now estranged husband, claiming that he gave her a black eye. And she actually put in her restraining order documents this picture, which shows an extreme black eye. And he says that he never touched her. And what happened was she was drunk, he says, and she fell down the stairs and hurt herself. So now fast forward to a few days ago when Denise Richards shows up at his, or the house they shared, but that he now lives in. There's a restraining order in place. He can't be within 100 yards of her. And she pulls up in her Corvette and she wants to get one of their dogs. And the police are called. He doesn't want to be near her because he's afraid he's going to get arrested. So she ends up leaving, but she looked okay. Well, guess what? So we get these pictures now. So between over the weekend and now, Denise Richards looks different. This is a current picture of Denise Richards when she was out. And when you look, it seems that she has a black eye. And not just a black eye, but she has blood, it looks like, under her chin. So now the question, does this help her husband, who has said, it wasn't me?
100% this helps Aaron's side of things, because so he responded to the photos and the restraining order, saying in 2022 he knew exactly how she got that black eye. He was claiming she showed up drunk to his office and fell, and that's how she got it. Well, as far as we know, they haven't seen each other within the last 2 days, and here she is. She has a black eye. Her team is saying, we reached out to people for Denise. They're saying two things. One, they're saying it's the shadow in the photo.
So they're saying this is a shadow?
But
they're saying that's a shadow.
They're saying that.
How do they explain that?
They're also saying she got a microneedling procedure done on her face, but they're not being specific of if that's explaining the cut on her chin or if that's explaining why around her eye. I've never got microneedling done. I don't know.
Okay, well, but let's go back to the eye for a second. Alex is the Alex runs our art department. You looked at this picture?
Yeah.
Could this be lighting?
No, because you see the shadow that the hat is casting is different than the shadow that is under her eye. It's clearly a black eye.
So they're saying two things, and to me, I mean, we were.
Well, but I don't want to get lost on that point. So you're saying because of the way the hat is positioned, that couldn't be lighting.
It's not.
Let me ask you this though: do you not think this looks bad for Denise? Having a black eye when she's not around him, it tracks more with what Aaron was saying, that he never touched.
Here's the thing about this. Would prosecutors go after him for domestic violence? This really complicates it, yes. But we don't even know that prosecutors would do that. In terms of the divorce, it doesn't matter because it's a no-fault state. She's in California. So it doesn't matter who did what.
What about in terms of public opinion?
Well, in public opinion, it does matter.
Yeah.
But, and you're right. But, you know, in terms of like, would the DA or the city attorney file charges against him? This makes it less likely.
Hi, I'm Rosalind from Montreal. Just to say one thing, I've had PRP and I've never had a bruise underneath my eye. Yes, you can get like redness in your skin. They don't usually go right near your eye, but it's really sad just to sort of see her in this state again. And, you know, obviously, all this drama about divorce makes for good television, reality TV, because she's signed for another year, you know, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And does she have a type? She's obviously, you know, with people where there's conflict. So either she creates the conflict but conflict, irregardless, makes for good reality TV, don't you think?
I do.
Coming up.
We have talked a lot about pendulums and the way it swings to the left and usually too far, and then the reaction is swinging to the right and usually too far. That's our society right now. Jamie Lee Curtis has swung hard.
Be right back.
We have talked a lot about pendulums and the way it swings to the left and usually too far, and then the reaction is swinging to the right and usually too far. That's our society right now. Jamie Lee Curtis has swung hard, I think. And honestly, I just think this is insane. So, and I like her. I think she's a great actress and she's a cool person, but I just think this is insane. So here's what she said. She said, and this is a quote, I've been very vocal about the genocide of a generation of women by the cosmeceutical industry. That's the cosmetic industry. The cosmeceutical industrial complex, who have disfigured themselves. And that is saying that women have disfigured themselves by the cosmetology industry to a point it has become genocide. And she's saying it because she thinks that plastic surgery has ruined women. She said once that she had bags under her eyes and somebody said, oh, you gotta do something about that. And she regretted it.
She got those bags removed surgically, and she regretted doing that. And she did get addicted to painkillers from that procedure.
Which is bad.
But she has come out fully swinging against the plastic surgery industry. You know who this is not sitting well with?
The Kardashians.
Well, probably them too, but Terry Dubrow, Dr. Terry Dubrow. So we actually got him out and asked him about her comments, and he went scorched.
Well, and he's interesting because he's the star of Botched.
Yeah, so he's seen the good, the bad, the ugly.
Well, he's seen the bad, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Recently, Jamie Lee Curtis made comments calling plastic surgery a genocide disfigurement. What's your take on those remarks? What do you think about that? Okay. What did you think when you heard that?
I thought, Jamie Lee Curtis is a great actress, but maybe Jamie Lee Curtis needs a dictionary because it's not genocide. Okay, last time I checked, it's not a crime against humanity, and Botox is not a crime against humanity. It's not genocide, and Jamie, you're an amazing actress, but stick to acting.
Hi, I'm Cameron Hirschman out of New York City, and I think personally what Jamie Lynn Curtis said was a bit extreme. I think especially in the state of the world right now, that word should probably not be used so lightly. However, I do think what maybe she was trying to say is plastic surgery right now is an epidemic in modern times, right? Not a genocide. Also, Dr. Dubrow is the end-all be-all expert of plastic surgery. Who wouldn't want to go to him?
When you say it's an epidemic, it just means it's popular. That's, you know, you can have an epidemic of good things. And if people want it and they feel better about themselves, more power to them. So Dean Cain is a big fan of ice and is actually, there used to be an old commercial, the Army wants you. And I think it was Uncle Sam actually that was in the picture, but they had celebrities doing this and it was a way of recruiting people into the Army. Dean Cain, the former Superman of Lois and Clark, was on Instagram and said he is the pitch man, or one of the pitch men, for people to join ICE. Watch this.
Hey everybody, Dean Cain here. And for those who don't know, I am a sworn law enforcement officer, as well as being a filmmaker. I felt it was important to join with our first responders to help secure the safety of all Americans, not just talk about it. So I joined up. And here's your opportunity to join ICE. You can defend your homeland and get great benefits like a $50,000 signing bonus. Think about that. Student loan repayment legally, enhanced retirement benefits, and special pay for those in the field operations and law enforcement. So if you want to help save America, ICE is arresting the worst of the worst and removing them from America's streets. I like that. I voted for that.
At first, when I heard it, I thought he was saying he joined ICE because I support it and you should, right. Or I joined the movement and you should join too.
Right, I'm an ICE agent, just
but he's not.
You can be. He's not.
He's not. To say everybody now, you know, they're criminals and everything else. We are next door to an establishment that got raided by ICE. They raided the taco truck. They raided the establishment, and they're just picking people up off the streets. So they don't know if somebody's a criminal or not. They're just masked people are picking people up off the street.
I can see Mike getting ready. People are terrified though, Mike.
I've seen people play there. I've seen dice games outside there and people pushing.
Okay, but how does that make somebody a criminal?
Well, hold on, Harvey. First of all,
saying
if you enter the country illegally, it's a crime. It's not as civil as you. It's a crime.
I get it, but
period. But are there good people? Absolutely, of course.
But wait a minute, but Babcock, you're right. But when Donald Trump or Dean Cain or anybody says the worst of the worst, they're not talking about people who just simply entered. They're talking about real criminals.
I think Dean is. It's a little shaky there. They're obviously getting more than just the worst.
But Donald Trump said the same thing.
They're scooping up everybody. Period.
We saw it.
Yeah.
We saw it with our own eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming up.
Donald Trump now has a poster child for the feds taking over Washington, D.C. The poster child is 19-year-old Edward Korstein, a.k.a. Big Balls. He was assaulted on the streets of Washington, D.C. Michael Knowles joins us.
The federal government cannot take over D.C. because the federal government already controls D.C.
Be right back.
Donald Trump now has a poster child for talking about taking over Washington, D.C., the feds taking it over. The poster child is 19-year-old Edward Korstein, a.k.a. Big Balls. You may remember him from Doge. Elon Musk hired him, and he was one of the leaders of Doge, this 19-year-old who left. But before he did, he was assaulted on the streets of Washington, D.C. Apparently, there was a carjacking. He got in the middle of it and bloodied, and you see him there on the sidewalk. Donald Trump says crime in D.C. is out of control, and if they don't do something about it, the feds may take over the district. So, is this just throwing chum at the MAGA base, or is it a diversion from Epstein? Or is there any merit to it? Our buddy Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire, I'm sure has an opinion. He joins us all the time, and he is with us now. Michael, welcome back.
Good to be with you, sir. Thanks for having me.
So, look, it's bad what happened to this guy. I don't care what you think about Doge. That should not happen to anybody. But seriously, using him as an example of rampant crime in Washington, D.C. to justify taking over the district, that is extreme.
Well, there's a few things here. First of all, yes, Mr. Big Balls was assaulted. That was very sad. Even though just within the last couple of years, you saw Democrat Rep. Henry Cuellar was carjacked at gunpoint by the U.S. Capitol. This isn't even the worst part of D.C. You had, around the same time, Naomi Biden, the granddaughter of the then president, was carjacked. This is a Secret Service vehicle. One of the agents actually got shots off, and that was in Georgetown. That's the richest, nicest part of D.C. So crime has become a big problem there.
But here's the deal, Michael. Crime is down there.
A little bit in the last 12 months. But
it's
listen,
going in the
look,
right direction. It's going in the right direction.
Okay, I'm glad it's been a good year, but tell that to Henry Cuellar, tell that to Naomi Biden.
You can
tell
say that
I
in
was with a U.S. senator one time. I was in a nice part of town by the White House. A U.S. senator got his car broken into, had his briefcase stolen. Tell that to Big Balls next time you talk to Big Balls.
I know. Hey, I was in D.C. when in my 20s, and I had 3 guys chasing me with guns. So I know what you're talking about. But
yes.
It happens in Beverly Hills. It just.
Yes,
it does.
Sure.
It does.
I would say, I guess it's gotten particularly bad in D.C. You're right. It's gotten a little better over the last 12 months. But to me, the issue is even broader than that. What does the Constitution say? You know, my friends on the left, even the ones who hate Trump, they say they love the Constitution. Well, the Constitution says Congress controls D.C.
Have you ever seen the National Guard run a city before? Ever?
I want them running the National District. You got to remember, Harvey, Washington, D.C. is not like New York or L.A. This is a federal district. It's not part of a state.
Michael,
it's meant to be run by the federal government.
Michael, people live there. I know it's a district, but people live there. It's a residential area, largely. So yeah, it's not just the Washington Monument. There are hundreds of thousands of people who live in the district. Do you want the national?
I absolutely do.
How is that going to look?
How
is that going to look? It's
going to look like a federal district, which is what the framers of our Constitution wanted, and it's how it looked until 1973. You got to remember, it was pretty recent that you had home rule there. So there can be lower degree police forces than just the National Guard, but it's got to be under the purview of the federal government because Washington, D.C. does not just belong to the residents.
City. It's going to look like an occupied city.
No, it's just owned by the federal government. It's not occupied by it. It's currently being occupied by, I suppose, a local population as opposed to who it actually belongs to, which is the American people. And this gets to the deeper point beyond the crime, Harvey. You know, I think most Americans, that's our district. It doesn't belong to Maryland, doesn't belong to Virginia, doesn't belong to Mayor Bowser. That's our district, we the people. And I think there's been a lot going on in D.C. that the American people don't like. We don't like the Black Lives Matter monuments. We don't like the pride flags everywhere. We don't like the radical leftism. We don't like that. It's a federal district. If you don't like it, move. We, the people, most of whom elected Donald Trump in November.
Am I a person?
You're a person.
Okay,
and you get a little bit of a say in D.C., even though you don't live
I have no problem with Black Lives Matter monuments and gay pride flags. I have no problem with it. I'm a person. You're acting like everybody is the same. And
no, I'm just saying that most of the people who voted in November don't like that stuff, and Trump ran against it, and they ought to have a say in their federal government and in their federal district.
What percentage did he get?
He got the popular vote.
What was the vote?
The popular vote was slightly higher than the vote for Kamala Harris, even though the presidency is not decided by the popular vote.
So
it shows you the overwhelming
half
support.
the country disagrees with you.
Yes, about half the country.
And let everybody live their life and don't start pulling monuments and flags. Come on. And by the way,
listen, Harvey, the American right is not the group that's been toppling the monuments. That's been the left for the past 15 years.
And I agree with you there, too. I understand, to some extent, I understand that. But, Michael, these are not interlopers. They're people who live in the district.
Yeah, they live there, but it doesn't belong to them. It's not like other cities or other districts. So, look, if they want to live in a place that operates like a normal state, they're free to move there. But they don't have the right to overrule the Constitution or 250 years of American precedent. That's how it is. Listen, if you want to amend the Constitution, Harvey, be my guest. Try to call a constitutional convention or a convention of the states. But for now, I want that district run by not only the person that it should be run by, which is the Congress and the president, but also by a very competent government. And I don't think anyone would accuse the D.C. government locally of being competent.
God, I love arguing with you. I just do. Michael Knowles' show airs every day on Daily Wire Plus. Michael, we will see you soon. Thanks.
Great to be with you, Harvey. See you next time.
Coming up.
There is a buzz about doing a movie on Luigi Mangione. The person the internet is talking about playing Luigi is Dave Franco. Let's leave it at this. He is dying for this role.
Be right back.
So one of the most unsurprising things that I have seen this year is that there is a buzz about doing a movie on Luigi Mangione, the person who apparently executed Brian Thompson, the healthcare CEO. And there is just no doubt in my mind that you are going to see this on streaming, on the big screen. It is a sought-after project, it turns out, and I know that because on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen last night, the person the internet is talking about playing Luigi is Dave Franco. He's on, and Andy asks him about whether he would take a role like this.
A fan calls in and does ask.
But everybody's asking this on the internet.
Everyone is.
Okay, so watch what Dave Franco says.
My question for Dave is, since the entire internet wanted you to play Luigi Mangione in a movie, would you want to play him in a biopic if it was offered to you?
Oh, how do I answer this? No one has approached me about it yet, I'll say that. This is something that more people in my life reached out about this exact thing than anything else that has ever happened. Wow. Let's just say I'm open if it's the right people, and let's leave it at that.
Let's leave it at this. He is dying for this role. I mean,
really? That's kind of an uncomfortable role to play, though.
He might as well have just said, I will do anything for this role. I mean, he literally just said that.
He said if it's the right people.
No, he said he wants this role.
All right,
because everybody's gonna watch this. And, the trick to it is, do you wait till the trial is over, or do you just do the backstory now?
My name is Brianna, and I'm from Ventura County. I think that Dave definitely possesses a resemblance to Luigi that could absolutely help him land the role. And with more critically acclaimed performances under his belt as of late, it's possible he's searching for that part that could help him generate some Oscar buzz.
Isn't that weird, though? You're talking about Oscar buzz, and this guy's going to go on trial for first-degree murder. It's like, ugh.
Coming up.
So Glen Powell is a really good guy. He is a big supporter of the Texas Longhorns. Now, in college football, there are only so many scholarships that can go around. So there are players who are struggling financially. Glen really stepped up.
Be right back.
So Glen Powell is a really good guy. He is a big supporter of the Texas Longhorns. Now, in college football, there are only so many scholarships that can go around. So there are players who are struggling financially. Glen really stepped up.
What's up, Longhorns? It's Glen Powell, fellow Texas alum. I have a newfound respect for what it takes to join a football team. It takes grit, it takes grind, and most importantly, it takes heart. Marshall, your hard work has not gone unnoticed. No! That is why Texas is awarding a scholarship.
It's so amazing. And maybe this has become a thing where other supporters are going to do the same thing and follow suit. Good going, Glen Powell.